I'm enjoying what I'm seeing today. Spud's back on track a little bit after a couple of Saturdays where we haven't really known where he's been at.
Just confused a little bit.
Yeah, Duck, nice, strong contributor. Purple, okay, I think. He's just gearing up for a massive finish, Purple. And Brian, not far away from getting on a plane and flying up to Sydney and tearing that one to shreds, Bristle.
He's got to get there in 22 minutes.
I know. Well, he is an incredible traffic operator, Spud.
The speed limit's, 80 kilometres, Brian.
Spud, don't say anything. They'll be there waiting for me.
Yeah, I know that, but just
never has
drive
there
safely.
been a man who's known the back streets better and just points the big Land Cruiser into spots that it probably shouldn't fit.
It's not Dick Tracy where the lights just stop and he just goes through. And
there's a lot of roadworks, and you've got to be respectful of it.
Exactly, Brian.
That's it.
Brian, I've been in cars where you've mounted tram stops to get around traffic.
No, I don't think.
No, you did outside the old Herald Sun building there in Flinders Street one night when I was in the car with you.
Highly unlikely. I do remember one night coming home from the Richmond Disco at about 4 a.m. that we actually went on the footpath all the way down Bridge Road and pulled up in front of Hollywood to get a souvlaki. Remember that place? And we actually parked the car between the door and the post on the side, so we're actually on the footpath, so that we didn't have to step too far into the shop.
Bristle,
long time ago.
I think if the car's small enough, you'll mount it Land Cruiser monster truck style and just go straight over the top. Anyway, we know you got to go, so before we do, we got to hit the stinger here, Rosemary.
In 2009, the Saturday Rub brought you the iconic
World according to the Cool Breeze.
And now it brings you
Cool Breeze Chronicles.
Can you just say that off the bat now?
I did
in that voice.
I did it naturally.
No, do it now.
No, we've
Go
already
on,
done
do
it.
it.
We've already done this thing. I know we need to move on. Okay,
right.
So we're still dealing with this tumultuous career that Brian's had at Collingwood, Jim, and we know that there are issues with suspensions and blow-ups with players and drinking before the game.
It's all about them, not me.
We're now getting to the nitty-gritty of Brian's latter stages at Collingwood. He's already taken a pay cut once, Duck, which he didn't like doing. But
He would have loved that.
Jack Dyer wrote a famous column called Dyer Ear. And he was always in the know. And it was famous at the time, and he knew what was going on at certainly with Richmond Collingwood stuff, and Brian being a Richmond person, he knew. So this particular column, Jack Dyer starts writing that the Collingwood players had been asked to take a pay cut, and he writes that when it asked players to cop a 20% cut last season, it lost Jeff Rains and Mike Richardson. Big Brian Taylor took the cut and kicked 100 goals.
Thank you, Brian.
So you can imagine the shock.
Begrudgingly.
Better top it up.
So you can imagine the shock when a couple of officials who have played for the Magpies for much less money approached Brian on another economy drive and asked him to take another cut.
Oh, no. Not after 100.
I'm told this would have taken Taylor's salary down to $57,000,
Oh, Brian.
which might not seem like a bad lolly, as written by Jack Dyer, but I understand he was getting $94,000.
Oh, that's a big haircut.
Brian didn't exactly fall over backwards to take the cut. And he did have incentives to go to Richmond and also to Brisbane. But there was a stalemate and he was going to leave. But Bobby Rose took a hand in fresh discussions, and now Taylor is getting $94,000.
Oh, nearly got it all back, Brian.
Where
Behind
those
the
numbers
scenes.
are from, mate.
What happened behind the scenes, Brian? Come on.
Well, they sent a bloody lightweight out to negotiate the deal with me, Errol Hutchison or someone. They sent him out, and I just couldn't be bothered with him. He was just talking
Errol
in riddles
Hutchison.
and trying to get it,
So went straight to
undersell
Bobby.
me. So I
Went to
just
the
went
legend.
straight to the top. I said, get rid of these hacks out of the way, Bobby. Let's get this done. Come on.
That was a lot of money back then.
Back then it was.
It was.
No one would have been on more. We go to another page in this dossier that we've been given, and
Yes.
there's a headline on a story. Taylor turns down offers to stick with Pies.
Yes.
And it's a 1988 situation. And you're quoted, Brian. You were very regularly and widely quoted when you were playing, and I loved it. I wish there were more players like it. I approached Collingwood at the end of the season after reading what they were leaking to the press in trying to get rid of me.
Oh, they had Big Plugger on the line.
They denied leaking it and said there was no problem at all.
He
And
was muted to go to Collingwood at that stage, the big fella.
He was.
Oh,
Lockett.
this,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And that's why Brian's got the nose out of joint.
So you've gone in a
Blamed his own club for leaking.
and then Jim, clearly there's been some commentary at the time about how much he was getting, because he's then gone into detail about what people were saying about him. People call me a mercenary, but those who know me know that I'm not.
Oh, come on, don't.
Football is a business,
Don't need all
and
the
I
detail.
have to look at it as a business.
Oh, yes.
That's what I do.
I was ahead of my time.
And then, out of nowhere, you've then
You're
thrown
still
this little
doing it.
paragraph. I'm heavily committed in a spa business
Oh,
and
remember
looking
this.
for long-term security. So,
You
Jim,
got a photo of him in the spa?
I
remember
wade through this dossier and find a separate article on the said spa business, and Brian is wearing a pair of Speedos, which,
Is it on the,
they're
can the
not
wolf pack have a look at it?
thank you, Brian.
well, they're strange.
They're Puma
Put
running
it online,
shorts.
Rosie.
We'll call it up and we'll get up online. And
Just
then
look at his lunch pack.
And this is the part of the article, and I think John Anderson wrote this one. Taylor, who avoids the limelight off the field, has recently had two big changes in his life. In January, he married Tanya Rowbottom, and then
Best thing he ever did.
joined her
Paddle
family
ass.
business of spa installation, known as the Western Red Tub and Spa. The business is situated in Victoria Street, North Melbourne. A plumber by trade, Taylor was ready-made for the business and now helps his brother-in-law Adam install the hot tubs. Quote,
How
we
many did he
basically
do?
use natural concrete and make them to order, either inside or outdoors.
Natural concrete.
What's unnatural concrete,
What is
Brian?
natural concrete?
Oh, no.
What's the alternative?
Just one of the selling lines.
And just to sort of fit the mood with Brian easing himself into this bubbling water, there's no better way of relaxing after a hard game, particularly when you've copped a couple of whacks.
Oh, God.
Remember after the Sydney to Melbourne marathon, we got Janos Kouros in one of those. Janos.
Natural concrete.
The red
And
tub.
There was another reference too, Jim, in another article I waded through was referencing an altercation with Darren Mullane, which Brian has admitted to a few times. And you're trying to douse water all over the feud
Would've
that
been a good
clearly
go, I
had
reckon.
developed. And all you're offered this particular is, I've always regarded Darren as a very close friend of mine, and I still do. There's no ill feeling between us.
That's
What
right.
happened?
been
That
a
was
good
outside
go.
the tunnel, wasn't it?
Outside the underground.
It would have been a
Underground.
good go, BT.
What happened? Didn't you go to the laneway at the back?
Look, Banksy said, come out the front. We had a bit of a disagreement inside, his mates. And
Yeah.
a bit of he said, so Banksy said, come out the front, we'll sort it out. So he sort of separated us and rang the bell and said, ding, ding, away you go, bang, into each other and, keeping the people back from joining. And then all we heard was sirens going from every which way. And so we split. They jumped into a big dump master bin and I got around the corner and escaped. But so we got away with it. But we had to have a meeting at the footy club the next day to sort of get things back on track.
Were you in front at the time, Bristol, or were you...
Oh, it was a points decision probably.
JB, we just want the Wolfpack to make a comment on the photo of BT
no,
and the
look
black
at
and white
BT.
trunks here, Duck. Have a look.
It's actually a
He's
black and
got
white
abs.
photo,
You know, you've got good abs.
They are.
Brian, you have got abs there.
they're
He's got a six-pack.
It's not the European
Yeah.
type
Actually, it
short.
is, isn't it?
wonder,
Yeah.
It's a Western Red Cedar Spa, Duck.
No, I'm talking about the short
yeah,
things you're wearing
Jack,
there. And is that a leopard print style there?
Yeah, what about
Leopard
the
print?
moustache? But you're lucky one of the right scallop wasn't hanging out with the legs open up there, Brian.
Into the natural concrete.
That's it. Hey,
Come on,
Bristol.
BT.
Term natural
What about the
concrete.
little? What about the little pins
I'm
you got
loving
there?
the
Real little
international
pins.
You
cool
were fit,
breeze.
Brian.
Absolutely beautiful. Hey, Brian,
Really
I don't
fit.
know whether you saw the footy show Thursday night, but I don't know why the editing team
I did watch it.
decided to rip out the vision of you just grabbing Billy Duckworth in a headlock.
I don't know where that came from either.
Brian, I don't know, but I absolutely loved it. And I love the fact that within a second of the blue erupting, two policemen on horseback.
Yes, that's right.
How did
Ready
that
to break it up.
A quarter time, they used
It's
to
a
come
good
out.
point. That when you stop the photo there and the two coppers are there on horses, I'm
Yeah.
thinking the game is
Yeah.
barely still going. What are they doing on the ground?
Cannot believe it. All right then, Brian. Well, very nice to see you. Good luck
calling
with the flight
tonight,
up there,
Brian.
Bristol. Good calling.
Don't
Go there,
speak.
Brian.
No.
Take it easy.